Here we are back again, Playing the Game podcast. This week's guest is very inspirational, I think is a cool word, and very knowledgeable. I learned so much from limiting beliefs about myself in there. I was sitting there at some moments, I'm like, wow, this is he's speaking straight to my soul, and a lot about finding your identity in the journey that you're on. So if you are interested in finding out about yourself, you're going to want to listen to this, and let's get into it. Lewis Huckstep, welcome to the show. We've went to PBC together through sport and used to play at Burleigh Bears. I remember you a few years younger and all had that. Still remember that.
The knee brace.
The knee brace, always carving up a few years younger. So I just wanted to start off with a bit of your sporting background. Obviously, you're contracted from about 12 to 18 years old about that. So obviously pretty good player. And then after 18, you sort of went more in the business world. When you were growing up, was professional sport always the goal?
It was the goal. I think you don't know what you don't know when you're growing up. It's kind of like you follow the path that's been laid ahead or whatever dreams you've got. And definitely sport was it for me. So I loved every sport. I was like tennis, golf. Wasn't very good at golf. Surf, lifesaving, athletics. Footy was definitely the main stake, and probably touch footy. I love touch footy as well. Maybe you played a bit of touch footy as well back in the day. That was the plan until I guess I always like not just the spiritual awakening, but the self-growth awakening when you learn about like money, trading time for money, business and stuff like that. So, I started when I was young. I played footy. I'm from Norfolk Island. That's where I was born. And started when I think I was 4.5 or 5 years old. Came over to Australia when I was about 11. Went to Townsville first. So actually was there for about 6 months, and then came down to the Gold Coast. I went to Marymount, which is just around the corner here. And then came to PBC for high school, and went there on a scholarship. Contracted with the Broncos first between the ages of 12 to I think 16, and then Titans from 16 to 18. And just had the injuries. The knee definitely was playing part of it. I started to transition into business and started to lose the passion for it. So that kind of transformed into business and now a personal brand, which is kind of like what you're showing people how to do. So I kind of walked that path a little bit.
Yeah, that's cool. I guess you sort of touched on it quickly then, and you get older and you sort of have different interests, and you're like, oh, money's pretty fun. And one of the things I found with footy is just the time commitment and I guess the unknown. There's only a certain amount of players in a football team, so you sort of get to that age, you're like, oh, am I good enough? Obviously you were making the rep teams. Is it sort of, am I good enough to not make it, or do you sort of just go, I prefer the business side of things, then I don't really want to do that?
To be honest, I haven't been asked that question, that angle. It was probably a bit of both. Like there was definitely, I remember there was one game, it was a rep, there was a couple of standout games where I just played shit and just like it really rocked the confidence. I played for Queensland when I was 15, and it was a carnival where Keenan was there, Keegan Hipgrave was there, Kalen Pong was there, a couple other big names were in there as well. And I was there was two Queensland teams. I was in the second team. Played fullback. Zimmo was my coach, actually. That's probably why I made the team.
Shout out Zimmo.
Thanks, Zimmo. You probably wouldn't have picked me if it wasn't for Zimmo. And man, I dropped like every ball, just played terrible, and it just rocked me. So that definitely stands out, and that's when I was 15. Still made rep teams, still played well, still won some grand finals through that, but I've brought it up for a reason. So that definitely hit. I remember there was another rep team. I think it was for like the Gold Coast rep. I think it was like 16, 17s. Same thing. I was fullback, and they just one day just dropped everything that came my way. So probably confidence started to come into it. Injuries as well. I think I popped my knee out, I think about 5 or 6 times, and every time it's like the rehab gets a bit harder, recovery gets a bit slower. And then at the same time while I'm doing that, because I was thinking past footy, I wanted to be a high school teacher, a personal trainer. And when I started to learn about, the book was Rich Dad Poor Dad, if you're familiar with it, and just learn about trading time for money. I was like,
everyone's first business book.
That's like the door. That's like the door opening.
100%.
So I read that when I was, I had the goal. The moment I stopped footy, it was just, there wasn't like a huge event. We won the under-19s for Burleigh Bears. I remember that was the last game I played. I came back randomly, played a game and played shocking. Haven't got back yet. The boys messaged me and said, hey bro, we're playing a game, we're short, can you come sit on the bench for us? I said, yeah man, I'll sit on the bench. Rock up, someone didn't show up, so I had to play a full game, and just played terrible. So I'm like, this is done, I'm not coming back. It just transitioned because I was getting into the personal training fitness industry, but that's where the self-development came from as well, just that pathway I went down. And then I was just getting more and more drawn to business and just setting myself up in a different direction. So it was a bit of a combination, a bit of self-confidence, injuries, definitely probably the biggest pillar. And then, yeah, just like seeing the other pathway. And that's kind of where I went.
Obviously, we'll touch on what you're doing now in the PLC, but through your sporting career, we'll call it, do you think there are any skills that you implement today or you've taken with you that definitely helped you set you up for your career?
Man, like heaps. Like I see so much, and I hear so many professional athletes that have done very well say the same thing. I forget because Kerwin Ray was a huge mentor of mine, and he references this study, but I don't know the actual study, but there was supposedly this study where they studied the best performing athletes, CEOs, performers, I should say, military teams, everything. Like, what's the common factor across every single like high end performer and whatever it is that they do? And the one factor they found was grit, and being able to push through when it's painful. And like with Zimo and PBC and all the trainings that we did.
Is it Woodgie Street under Crumbin doing those off seasons up that straight hill back around to the stairs?
And we did ones we had to carry someone up there. That sucked. I remember I carried Jesse Savage up that fucking hill. Fuck. I don't know if I can swear on this, but that sucked. So grit is probably the biggest one, but there's other things like teamwork, having delayed gratification. Like there's so many traits that come across with it, but yeah, grit would be the biggest one, just pushing through when it's painful, because like business is painful, like relationships are painful, everything has its downs, and if you're not willing to push through the discomfort, you're never going to get there. So very grateful for sport, for teaching me that. Teamwork, delayed gratification, being coachable, I think is huge. I don't know how to categorize that better, but just being able to actually be open for feedback and actually like I remember going up to Zimo, I keep referencing Zimo, but yeah, like what can I improve on? What can't I see? How can I improve? How can I be better to evolve? And that's definitely shows up in business.
That's one thing you just said then. What can't I see? That's such a cool question. It's probably something I've limited to myself. I was actually having a thought the other day, and I was like thinking back to my career, and I was probably not a great ball player. I can't really pass the ball, and I was like,
or speed, baby.
Yeah, well, that's all I got caught. It's just catch the ball, run, catch the ball, run. And I was just thinking back, and I was like, sort of had the same thought. I'm like, what can't I say? Like, what was I missing to sort of go there? So I think that was just a bit of a realization for me. It's such a cool question that I could probably ask myself. So then you move into PLC. By the time you're 22, I believe you had 3 gyms. Incredible effort. Tell us a bit about that journey and how you got to there, and what are some of the milestones you had and things like that.
There's a curved line that they talk about in business. You got the uninformed optimist, where it's like you don't know what you don't know. Like it's just fun, sunshine, lollipops, kind of like the honeymoon period in a relationship. And I was just there for a long time, so we were fired up. We took a lot of action. Me and my business partner. I went down for work experience, so I was still at PBC at the time, and I wanted to get into the fitness industry to start that path why I went to uni to become a high school teacher, and that was the vision outside of footy. And I was still at school, got into the fitness industry. Well, no one would say yes. I had a trial at Jets, Snap, Anytime Fitness, F45, and everyone just said no. And I kind of gave up for like a month. And then a friend got a job in the fitness industry, and I was like, fuck, and I thought I was better than this person. So I said, if they can do it, I can do it.
Yep.
So I jumped back on the horse and jumped on Gumtree randomly. I don't know why. I went down there, called up the guy, say, I don't want any money. I just want to work for free. I want to get some experience and get the ball rolling. He said, yep, come on down. That ended up been a 2.5 year journey of working for free. I was doing network marketing at the time, so that's where I got a ton of business growth from there, like sales, marketing, making content and all that stuff through there. Then that transpired into me buying half of that gym. That was at the age of 20. And then we got the keys to the second one at the age of 21. My business partner funded that. And then I bought into a third one at 22, almost 23. And it was fun. There was heaps of headaches. It was just very unbalanced, though. There's always seasons where you're going to be unbalanced. Like if you want to be, you're going to make sacrifices, and the more whoever's willing to be the most extreme, have the most amount of sacrifices, will generally do better if they've got some talent to go along with it. But I just got to breaking points. It's like it just wasn't worth it. I hit a breaking point. I remember we shit at the fan. We had a lawsuit going on. And we sold the business, and it took us like 12 months to get the deal signed. And there was like a 30-day cooling off period. On like day 28, the guy called me, said, I'm pulling out of the deal. This is shit. Fuck this, all this stuff. I remember I just burst into tears. I broke down on the ground, and I had 3 gyms. They were all breaking even, but like that's it. And I was working at 2 of them to run them while doing leads and sales, whilst living off like 5 hours of sleep. And I did that for about 6 years. And it was just like, I don't know how, looking back and I'm like, how the fuck did I do that? Like, why did I do that? And yeah, it was just, it's a chaotic period looking back at it now, but learned a ton, learned what I love, what I don't love, learned a lot of great skills, and I learned it very quickly. Because a lot of it's just like reps. Like I think I did over 3,000 sale appointments, like as in sold people in that 7-year period. So I had a ton, and that's one-on-one in front of someone talking. So really got good at my communication, got good at sales, got good at marketing, got good at leadership. So yeah, it was a great period. A lot of challenges, a lot of realizations, and yeah, it's chaotic is probably the word that I'd use to describe it.
Chaos, but as you said, you identified so many strengths, and I feel like sometimes you just got to get chucked in the deep end to learn the most. So that's pretty cool. You did mention briefly there about your network marketing.
Yep.
It's interesting. I'm sort of more again to business. I've had a lot of people sort of refer to this. I'm just interested, just from more selfishly, I just want to know more about the process and how you got into it and how that sort of works.
You understand network marketing, what it is? Like,
yeah, Ish, can you give a bit of a description for anyone who doesn't know?
The uneducated name of it is a pyramid scheme. So people where you sign up one person, then you sign up someone, and then their sales or orders or volume, you get paid for that, and then people below them, you'll get paid for that. If you look at any organization, it's the same thing. Like the manager gets paid more than the person below them and above and so forth. So the structure is exactly the same, but it's commission based. It's unlimited income. That's like the big selling point. There's no cap on how much you earn. And that was really appealing to me, where I was like, I was working at Subway. That was one of my first jobs. And it's like everything I did, I try to do my best. It's like I'd shop early, work harder, do the best I could with the standards that I had at the time. And it's like you can like seeing people who are like 20, 30, 40, 50 earning hundreds of thousands of dollars a month. You're like, holy shit, this is insane. So I guess, is there any specific question in it? Because I could take that kind of anyway, that question.
Just, I guess, the general, what'd you learn from it? How did you obviously have the skills? And I guess in a easy format, what is it?
Yeah. So it's essentially, it's a business model. That's the simplest. It's a business opportunity. And instead of say you like Nike, you got a pair of Nike, you got a Nike shirt on. So you say that, I love this shirt, man. This is amazing. Louis, you should go buy this shirt. And then I go to the shop, I buy the shirt. You've referred me to Nike. I've paid Nike. They get paid. What do you get in return? Nothing. So instead of saying that, you say, hey man, do you like this shirt? Yeah, I love it. Hey man, use my code, buy yourself a shirt, and then I'll buy it. I get the shirt, and you also get a piece of the money from that.
Yeah.
But then beyond that, then I've signed up through you. Every order for the rest of my life that I order, you get paid for it. And then I do the same for someone below me. Then I get paid for it, and you get paid for that as well. And that's where you can then build a team, and you can build your income through that. So that's the basics of it. There's heaps and heaps of companies. I was with Herbalife personally. You're not meant to say the name, but I don't really care. So I was with Herbalife personally. There's other companies like Isogenics, Amway, Juice Plus, Arbonne. There's tons and tons and tons out there. Now, like any industry, every single industry and career and profession has bad people in there, or like people that don't do it the right way, where they'll say, bro, you're going to make 50 grand next month. And it's like, reality is you're probably not. You're probably going to make nothing. You're probably going to be backwards because you got to take the product yourself, learn how to use the product, learn how to talk to people, learn how to sell, market. And you need to learn the business skills. So the biggest takeaway for me anyways, and I've seen many people, we're talking about a mutual friend that you went to his event the other day with Morgan, and he and me had the same transition where it's like network marketing is a great, I call it an apprenticeship for business because you get traditional business is risky. And depending on the business, like if you do service-based businesses, it's a lot less risky. Network marketing is so low risk. Like you can sign up for $100. Show me a business model where you can sign up for $100, and then you can have unlimited income. Plus, you get support depending on who you sign up with. They've got resources, and they take care of the product. So, say we wanted to come up with like say our supplement brand, which is a lot of MLMs do have supplements. It would take us hundreds of thousands of dollars to get that thing formulated, tested, approved, packaged, wrapped, all the above, to then have to go market. Where you sign up for $100, you get access to the product, and then you just need to go sell it. So you just need to do the marketing, sales, and then hire leadership aspect of things. So it takes away a lot of the challenging parts of business, and that's where it's a good opportunity. But at some point, a lot of people find people that treat it properly, because people will get in. It's like sport. I always used to use this analogy when people would give me shit. It's like, oh, it's a scam. It's a whatever. It's like, it's like only 1% of people make money off it. Okay. I say, great. Well, how many people try to be a professional athlete? What percentage of them make it? Why? Is it because it's a scam? No, it's because you're fucking not good enough, or you don't commit and you don't have the skills, or you're not willing to work hard. So it's a great introduction into business. it's generally where most people don't finish. I've never seen someone who, in my eyes, are quite hyper successful and just stay in network marketing. It's a good stepping stone. I've got a good friend of mine, Lloyd. He's there. He to this day, I know, makes $5,000, $10,000, $15,000 a week off MLM, but now he does his own business that he loves the most. And that's kind of the period that I went through. I went from MLM, which transitioned to gyms, to now I'm doing what I love, which is my personal brand stuff.
Cool. Great explanation. I can go and teach that now.
Perfect.
Obviously, you mentioned a few people. I went to the event the other weekend in Morgan and Lloyd, and you've obviously surrounded yourself with a lot of people who are doing well, and obviously from an outside view anyway, and it seems like they're doing very well. And your podcast, how many episodes of your podcast down now?
285.
285. So you're obviously being surrounded with people who have a lot of knowledge in different areas. Is there anyone in particular, any skills that you've learned through other people that you could probably identify that you've like, oh, that's stuck with me, that's helped me get through, that's helped me learn this?
So many. There's so many. I guess Rich Dad Poor Dad was my opening. So that was the first book I listened to / read outside of school, which don't get much out of Romeo and Juliet. But, so that was definitely like you kind of mentioned, like it's a good opening for so many people, just understanding like the rules of money, because you don't get taught it outside of your parents or whatever you grew up with. So that was huge. I'm biased towards coaching and personal transformation because that's what I do. So I've had heaps of lessons through leadership, through Jocko Willink, through John C. Maxwell, through Simon Sinek, personal transformation through Tony Robbins, through Dr. John DeMartini, through Wayne Dyer, through Peter Crone, through NLP, doing my NLP, timeline therapy, hypnotherapy trainings. Like there's so many. Fuck, I don't know where to take it. Money, I'll do some categories. Money would be Rich Dad Poor Dad, just the rules of money and understanding money.
Yep.
I would say personal transformation. If I only had to give you three, it would be Tony Robbins, because that's where I started. DeMartini's the most amount of depth I've ever experienced. And I'd say probably Joe Dispenza if I had to give a top three there. I love David Dieta. That's from like healthy masculinity and relationships. That's probably been my biggest learning through there. Yeah, I could go on a lot of tangents.
That's cool. That's cool. I've got a few names, and I'll be honest with you, well, those are the ones that you just mentioned. Tony Robbins is probably the only one I've heard. So it's cool for me to sort of be here, and that's one of the things I love about the podcast. I can chat to people and just get exposed to more and more and go deeper.
It's like it's the veil that like never ends. Like there's just so much more. It's like you don't know what you don't know. There's just so much, and don't get me wrong. There's some conflicting things. You read one book and says one thing, you read another one says the opposite, so that can be conflicting. So sometimes you got to like use your own intuition and actually try and error, and obviously a lot of learnings will come through personal experience and actually doing things. So but yeah, man, it's a bit of a self-development junkie myself.
I love that. I think one of the things you said, you don't know, and sort of just starting the podcast 6 episodes in and starting the business, and that's probably one of the truest things I've ever heard.
Exciting, man. Do you follow Hormozi? Like,
yeah, religious. Have you? Yeah. Obviously, I'm assuming you read both books.
There was a crucial, like, life-changing moment in PLCs when we're in the gyms. So when I had my second gym, and PLC was kind of fresh. Like there was probably only like 10 studios at the time. It hit the peak about 24, and then it kind of imploded. But I remember my business partner had a one-on-one call with Alex, because this was like 6 years ago. Like he was still in the gym industry,
and like gym launch.
Yeah, in gym launch, he was still there, and it's like, and he pretty much had the conversation like, "Do you want to come be a client with gym launch?" I'm like, and he said no. Like, what if he said yes? So, I've been following him since the gym days, because I was learning gym launch and like learning his gym content. To now see what he's doing is awesome. So, big fan.
Sweet, let's keep it on that Hormozi, because I actually have a podcast tomorrow, and Matt Sharma, and
oh, cool, awesome.
So I got him, and then I was just watching his stories the other day, and he was referencing Hormozi, how he's watching it, and things he's learned. So I actually had this question planned for tomorrow, but let's break it out early.
Fire away.
Let's go. I think Sharma was talking about his sort of leadership and his network and these systems in place. If you give us one, there's obviously more than one, but one or two things that really stick out for you watching Hormozi, reading the textbooks. I just know for me, still early, the $100 million offers was just
the value equation.
Just the way he breaks it down, and it was just so simple, so easy and so simple. Obviously, so much harder to implement. You try to do it yourself, and like there's processes in place, but just it was incredible. For someone, I guess, not an MBA type thing, and I haven't done an MBA, so I can't compare it, but this free knowledge out there that he provides for people is just incredible.
Incredible. I've followed him for a long time, and I guess different stages of my life and what my challenges and problems were there'll probably be different answers to the question now. So I'll answer it from now. The one that's been really just sinking into me and I just keep repeating to myself is the longer, and he said it and then it just mirrored everything I've experienced and I believe as well, is the longer that he's done business and the longer I've done business, it just comes down to how good your product is. Like I get so caught up with seeing like those ads, like master Facebook ads, make 30 grand in a month, or master your conversion, your optimization, and all this stuff. And they're pieces of the puzzle. Don't get me wrong, but it's like if you're trying to just market the shit out of a shit product, it's like long term, the only thing that wins is a good product. You can, don't get me wrong, you could be one of those online marketers who are just gun ninjas at marketing, and you can find an average product, sell the shit out of it, then move on to the next one, and that's just kind of your business model. Don't get me wrong, there are people that do that. I've got a friend who he made $20-something million by the age of 23, like absolutely killed it. But it's like it's kind of that quick fix mentality, and nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with making some good money, but in my world and where I live, because I'm doing something that I see myself doing for the rest of my life potentially, is it's just like making my product so damn good. It's like how I think Hormoza uses this analogy or this example. It's like, say you made a cafe and you sold a burger. Burger was the main product. How do you focus so much to get the burger so good, from how long you cook the patty, the amount of spice, the amount of sauce, the amount of everything that you do? So when the moment your customer takes a bite, they're like, fuck,
This is it.
this is it. I'm coming back every Sunday. I'm telling all my friends to come down here. Because people that don't do that, and they just focus on the signage and the marketing and the social media and the ads, and they drive all these people in, they taste the burger like, oh, it's all right. It's like if you don't have your product like absolutely dialed in, you have to get great at everything else. And don't get me wrong, you want to do both. You want to have a great product, then get great at everything else. So for the long, because sometimes I see people like doing really good months, 200, 300, 400,000 bucks a month, and they're really good marketers. And then I'll try their product. I'm like, this product's not that great. I was kind of like underwhelmed by like, fuck, they're making good money. So dialed this out. But I'm like, imagine if this was amazing. Then you don't necessarily have to, like you still do, but you don't have to be so wizard at marketing. So yeah, a lot of my time, literally this morning before I came here, I was going through, so I do chapters and for how I help people, and like my first chapter, which is like the foundation of what I do with self-mastery, I just went through A to Z and just going through one by one, how do I teach this better? Because I refilm my stuff minimum every 12 months, and I did this about 4 months ago, end of last year, and it's like in 4 months I've learned so much. I've just changed the way I view things. I've learned new programs at XYZ. It's like I can articulate this better again. So I'm just going through and redoing it rather than, okay, I've got something, let's market the shit out of it. It's like, how do I just make it so amazing? So whoever tries it, they're going to tell 5 friends, and those 5 people are going to tell another 5 friends. And it's like, you don't need to. If you can get your product so good that for every 1 client brings you another 1.1 clients, you've won. You get 10 clients, you're done. Because I'll give you 11 and they'll give you 12. And it's like, you're done. So it's like, just have a great fucking product. Like that's that. I've just been reiterating because I get like shiny object. Oh, let's run an ad. Let's do this. And it's like, why don't I just make my product so amazing? Just keep refining.
Love that. I want to sort of touch on, you sort of talk about reiterating and making sure you're going back and making sure that things are better and the best they could be. Looking back over your time in business, has there been sort of a skill or a mindset shift that you've had that sort of just gotten you over like just the biggest roadblock, and you've sort of hit that and it's just unlocked? I'm probably sure you have them pretty regularly, but is there one in particular that's been a big one? You're sort of like, wow, like I'm so glad that I learned this.
There's so many. Like there's just peeling back the onion. There's always more layers, and you're never done with healing or transformation. So there's just so many. The one that came up when you asked the question was the first one. So that's probably because it was the first one that I did. It was Tony Robbins. So have you done Tony's events?
I haven't. Have you been into a live one?
Yeah.
Wow.
So I did UPW when I was 19. I went again when I was 20, and I went to go again when I was 21, 22. I forget the age. I went to go again when COVID happened. So I did it online instead. So I did it twice in person, once online. And he calls it his Dickon process, and essentially it's a limiting belief. And I've never heard of that before, because it's like, you don't know what you don't know. Like, so limiting beliefs are beliefs that you believe that aren't true, but you believe it, so you make it true. And I talk about the ego. The ego's traits is it will avoid pain. It will make itself right. In other words, if you believe you're not enough, it will prove to yourself you're not enough by self-sabotaging or even achieving things and just feeling like you're not worthy anyways. So he takes us through this process of just identifying a limiting belief. And the ones back then that stood out, he does too. One of them was my worth around money. Like, I'm not worthy of being successful, I think was the first one. And the second one was relationships are painful. and that came from my condition of seeing my mum and dad fight, split over money, cheating on each other, being part of the footy boys. I won't use their names, but we'd go out with the boys, and they would have girlfriends at school, and we'd go out to a party, have a good time. They'd cheat on their partners. The next day at PBC, lie to their faces, and I just hated that. It's just didn't sit well with me, and so those conditioning and those experiences downloaded the belief in me that relationships are painful. Why would I be in a relationship? And I was single for a very long time. So just going through a process where it's like that moment where something that wasn't possible becomes possible, that transformation moment. That's what I love. It's what like gets me going the most. That was the first one. So that was Tony in person. That was 2015 or 2016. I think it was 2015. So that was the first one.
That's critical. Obviously, I'm going into a bit now what you do, your coaching and you help people, and I just want to sort of stick on that limiting beliefs. Is there a limiting belief that is most common when you work with people?
I'm not enough, and that's like the basic of it, but you could go, I'm not smart enough, not good looking enough, not successful enough, not beautiful enough, not rich enough, or something like that. So just I'm not enough would be that. And then maybe a cousin of that one is I'm not loved, or I'm not good enough to be loved, or some version of that. So yeah, that would be it. And it's just the game that I play is like, how do you identify them? So you've got your ego. Your ego is all of your beliefs. It's the combination of all your beliefs, experiences, and memories, and they're positive and negative. So I use a phone actually. So you've got a phone, you get an iPhone or whatever phone you use. You Apple, surely, surely not.
Mate, I only made the jump about a year ago.
Really?
All my friends were harassing me.
Finally.
I jumped across, and I'm like, I can't believe I live without it.
Yeah, perfect. Good. I actually haven't heard someone come across the other way. So you get a phone, and it comes with its default settings. It comes with like app, store, settings, etc. And you need that for the software to work. Okay. So when you're born, I've never met a baby whose first words were "I'm not enough," because you're not born that way. You're born with default settings where you believe you're enough. Like think of a child who's like super like ambitious. I want to be a rock star, a celebrity, famous, astronaut, like all those crazy things. Not crazy, right? They're things that they can do. But then you download the beliefs that I'm not enough, shut up, you're too loud, you're too much, be quiet. Or it could be like the simplest things of like, you've gone to school and you've spent all your time, energy, and effort making this beautiful painting or something, which probably looks like shit. And then you come back to mum or dad and you're like, mum or dad, look at this little, I've put so much love into this, look how amazing it is. And mum and dad's busy, they're doing business, they're doing things. They're like, hey, little Johnny, little Jackson, sorry, I'm busy, I'll come back to you later. In that moment, it could be like, my needs don't matter. I'm not important. I don't deserve love. It can literally be as subtle as that. It can obviously, and this ties into trauma and wounds and stuff like that. But yeah, the game essentially is finding where did that belief get downloaded and then removing that. And then what you're left with is the limitless, abundant, curious self, which is underneath.
Just going to have a second to take that in.
Yeah, sink that in.
Yeah. Obviously, just from that passage there, just so much knowledge. I'm assuming it stemmed from Tony Robbins when you started in 2016.
He was the opening. I love Tony. I made a video. It like hurt me to post this video. It was like why Tony Robbins tools don't work, and it hurt me to say that. I don't even like saying it again. And I love Tony. Tony's awesome for introduction. Like in terms of like you talk to most people, it was you said as well. Like he was like the only one out of all the people I mentioned, he was the only one that you knew.
Yeah.
And that's very common. And he's changed. I think he's touched and impacted the most amount of people in history for self-development. I don't know that anyone comes close, which is awesome. But that means the funnel's really wide essentially, but not as deep. Yep. So I find Tony is incredible for getting people moving to make a move, change his state. He does do limiting beliefs, but beyond that, I don't believe from a personal transformation aspect, there's definitely more depths out there with different teachers, gurus, or teachings, or whatever you want to go down to. He also does do business and finances and other areas as well, but purely personal transformation is what I'm talking about. Tony got me started. DeMartini is probably the one that's impacted the way I view the world the most. His level of depth of what he goes to and the processes he uses and the tools he uses is insane. It's so Dr. John DeMartini, if anyone that's listening, he's probably shaped me the most, just understanding the concept of balance of how everything you see, experience in life is a perception. So anything that was wrong or shouldn't have happened or was painful or was trauma, it's just a perception. Because how can two people go through a breakup? One person is grateful it happened and learned all these lessons, and some person's hurt and can't and will never date anyone again, or all guys are assholes or whatever. It's like the same event, different perception on the event. So your perceptions is the world that you live in. So his tool, it's called the DeMartini method, is essentially how do you balance perceptions and see how what was wrong was right and how was too good to be true is actually balanced. And that process, it's like a 14 question process that he takes people through. That is insane. NLP was huge as well. That's I think NLP is quite popular on the Gold Coast. You'll hear about it. Morgan's done NLP. So NLP, there's a couple of big names who and train people in NLP. So everyone on the Gold Coast is a fucking NLP person, but which is foundationally fantastic. But again, I think there's just depths to it. And depending where you go, you might go down relationships, might go wealth, might go personal transformation, might go health, might go branding, where you're going down the path of. So. Yeah, that was a long answer. I don't know where we ended up.
So you sort of went from, we talked about sport. I'm going to cut that bit. We started how you're talking about at sport. We met through sport. Then you went to PLC. Now you're doing the coaching.
Yep.
Obviously, you have a bit of a background of your knowledge in there. How did you get into coaching as such? You said you want to be a high school teacher. We spoke before, and we both agreed that we both enjoy coaching and teaching as such, but the curriculum isn't for everyone, and there's more important things. So how was that change? Did you go straight from PLC into coaching? I know we briefly spoke about it off air, but how was that process going from that to that?
Yeah, I had a podcast yesterday, and my answer to how I did it, I can tell you how and why. The reason why I did it is I talk about values, and most podcasts I'll bring that word up. So you've got values. Your values is, most people have a misperception of values. Values are areas of life that intrinsically drive you. Now, people will say, I value freedom, honesty, loyalty, integrity, and things like that. None of those things I just said are values. People that have done like NLP or some version of values will be shocked when I say that. Freedom's the funniest one. So I'll ask you this question actually. Do you believe, don't know that I'm here, but if I wasn't the one asking you this question, do you believe that you value freedom, you want freedom in your life?
Yeah.
Beautiful. 99.99% of people say yes to that. I say no, you want freedom, but it's not a value. Your freedom, having freedom will allow you to live out your values. What do I mean by that? So I give you $1 billion right now, and you never have to work again. You've got time and financial freedom. Would you sit on your couch and watch Netflix for the rest of your life?
No.
You would go and do whatever you value. Example, if you value travel, you're on a fucking flight around the world. If you value family, you're going to buy your family a house, you're going to hang out with your family, you're going to spend time with the kids or whatever. If you value health, you're off to the gym, you've got the best fucking gym program, the best supplements, the best whatever. If you value learning, you're going to sign up to a mentorship program. You're going to sign up to a seminar. You're going to do whatever. If you value image, if you're a lady, you might go, or man, you might go get hair done, nails done, whatever. Whatever you go and do with your time and money are the things that you value. And they're areas of life. So, and where I was going with that, they come from voids that were painful. So whatever was painful for you becomes important to you in your future or in your life. As an example, wealth, I had pain around wealth. Like we didn't have money for food. I went to school sometimes without food, and mum and dad fought over food. Wealth was painful. Wealth becomes important. Learning was painful to me. I struggled. I was in special needs classes, got diagnosed with Asperger's, ADHD when I was younger, and my handwriting to this day is still fucked. And I struggled learning. And so because I struggled learning, learning's important to me. You've heard how much learning I do and how much self-development I do because it was painful to me. Now, my highest value is coaching. So the bigger the void, the bigger the value. So my biggest void is coaching. Now, where does that come from? My dad. I didn't have the dad that I wanted. My dad didn't. His emotional intelligence was not very good. He snapped a lot, verbally, physically, emotionally abused me, my family. So the mentor or the father figure was my biggest void. And I categorize and word it as coaching. You call it mentorship. You could call it fathering if you wanted to, or being a father. So the reason why I've gone down this pathway is intrinsically I'm drawn to it. So whatever, if you get anything out of this podcast, just one thing, follow the things that inspire you. It will lead you to your destiny. It will lead you to your purpose. Your purpose is an expression of your biggest core wound, or in other words, your biggest void. And the biggest sign of seeing your purpose is when you get tears of inspiration. I'm going off a big tangent, but I'll bring it back to your question.
Keep going. I'm loving it.
Shark Tank. Have you watched Shark Tank before?
I've seen the clips. I know what it is.
Favorite show. We don't get the US over here, which is annoying, but it's favorite show. I was watching the show, and Mark Cuban's one of the sharks on there. So he owns the...
He sold the Mavs.
Oh, did he sell it? Oh, yeah. I didn't know that. There you go.
Yeah.
Oh, you just told me something. I didn't realize sell them. Anyways, he's on the show. This young kid comes on the show, and this kid's 15 years old, and they've done like 10 or something, $15 million. He's 15. And it's clothing too. Like not like a service based, like legit business. Killing it. And anyways, and throughout the show, Mark Cuban and some of the other sharks, they're applauding him. Well done. Trace, I'm forgetting his name. Well done. They're just applauding him, rewarding him, encouraging him. You're doing so well. You're crushing it. Stay focused. You're inspiring. You're doing this. You're doing this. You're doing this. While I'm watching this with my partner, I start like getting tears come down my face. And it's not like a sad episode. There's some fucking sad ones on the show. And my partner looks at me. She's like, "What the fuck's going on with you?" I'm like, I'm so inspired right now. Like I've got tears of inspiration. And she's like, what is it? And she knows what we're talking about. And I said, I'm very inspired by what it is that I'm seeing. And then I asked myself, what is it specifically that's inspiring me right now? Mark Cuban was giving that kid what I didn't get from my dad. So my biggest core wound was the lack of father figure or the lack of coach that I didn't have because I was, if anyone doesn't understand Asperger's, autism, ADHD. Have you watched Big Bang Theory before, the TV show? Sheldon Cooper's character has it. Very weird, quirky, does understand people, struggled in social settings. I didn't struggle today meeting you because I know you, but when I go to podcasts as a guest, I still get a bit nervous. Like, I'm going to one after this. I know those two as well, so I should be sweet for that one. But mate, if you invited me to a party, say you invited me to a party tonight, I didn't know anyone, I would shit my pants. I would still get socially anxious, and they're my wounds that I'm still working through. There's a limiting belief in there too, as you heard that. So I've still got those wounds there. And where I was going with that is whenever you get tears of inspiration, you're perceiving your purpose, and that's just in you. It drives you. The need for motivation is a symptom of an uninspired goal. No one had to motivate me to be here today. When you asked me to podcast, I was like, fuck yeah, this is coaching. I see myself as coaching right now. This is coaching. I get to learn, I get to connect. So I'm inspired to do this. No one has to motivate me to do my refining my product, like I was talking about. No one had to say, hey, Lewis, you have to go do this. Like, no, I want to do this. So the reason why I ended up going down coaching, it's my purpose. It's where I'm going. It's my future. And how did I do that? I was, for anyone that's a personal trainer, and you didn't do PT, did you? Did you search through school?
Yeah, I did my cert, but I did a sport and rec.
Yeah, cool. So a lot of PTs, and I experienced this, you become like a therapist for your clients. Like you'll train them, but they'll unload all their shit on you. And I'll just start coaching them. And I'd learned NLP, learned like the tools, and I'd start like sort of getting some results with them. So I was like unofficially coaching people mentally for about 10 years. And then I just loved it. I remember there was one reference that came down. She signed up. She came down for a goal setting session and then to sign up to the gym. And she ended up telling me that her husband committed suicide 3 months earlier. And we went through a process and healed that. She was crying, forgiving, love, and she was like totally healed through that in a 30-minute session. She signed up to the gym. And that was just me doing it through the gyms because I just loved it. Because the thing is, like, health and fitness is simple. The tactical part is simple, right? Train, don't eat shit, get some good sleep, drink some water. Like, it's not that complicated, right? Success is 80% mindset, 20% skill set. So the skill set's easy. The mindset is what fucks most people up. Why is we so unhealthy these days, right? It's tactically not that hard. It's generally this. Beliefs, conditioning, wounds, traumas, all that stuff. So from my childhood gifts that I got from dad and the seeds that were planted many years ago, that's what intrinsically drew me to it. And then why I went down that pathway, I guess I was drawn to go down that way and I enjoyed it. I saw friends doing it. I definitely had some fear of like stepping out from the gyms because I'd done that for so long and had to build my own business model and had to piece it together myself. But yeah, I just started doing it. I remember I made a decision. I had 2 gyms. I'd given one away. I sold one back. But at this point, I just had like I think it was a meditation, a visualization or something like that. And I was just like, this is my future. My future, I'm going to be a coach. I will do whatever it takes to get there full time. And that ended up selling my other gym, which was in Burleigh. And then I had the third one completely under management and I was just coaching full time. It was paying me enough money to live and I just got to coach full time. And I'm like, okay, let's build a business. Where do I start? Well, let's start with one-on-one clients. Started doing that. Okay, let's run a weekend event around that. Didn't really like it. Around a 10-week challenge, didn't like that. And I just started trying all these different business models. I now do a school community. If you heard of school, Hormozy is in that. So I started before Hormozy came in, by the way. And then when he came in, I was like, fuck yes.
Yeah, boosted it.
Yeah, big fan when he came in. So yeah, that's, I guess, the intrinsic drive is from what I was gifted with through my dad. And then the tactics was I just made a decision. I said, I will do what it takes. I didn't have a business plan. I just I'll figure it out. And just trusted that the universe would come through.
I had so many things to take from that. I'm just trying to say verbally all of them so I can get them out and remember them. First one, I like how you referred to, you talk about the trauma with your dad and that, but then like when you referred back to the gifts. So like obviously that's what's inspired you to do where you are now, and I thought that like that reframe of they're my gifts that help me drive to go there. The other one you sort of touched on is how you sort of said you'll be uncomfortable being coming to do a podcast, and from the outside what you said you've been content for 10 years and it just doesn't look like that. And you touched on something else about being uncomfortable, so I sort of wanted to go down that path. And it's interesting, like you say yes to all these things and even though you're uncomfortable, and I think that's an aspect that a lot of people sort of lack in these day and age. It's like it's uncomfortable and it's like, oh, so I'm not going to do it. And tell us about how you sort of get through that. Is there anything that you have to tell yourself that to get you through that with the uncomfortable? You just know I have to do this. This is what I need to get to where I need to go. So I'm just going to do it.
Do you know Stephen Bartlett? Do you follow him? Doris, I'm reading his book at the moment, and
I listened to the audio book. It was really
I literally read a line like last night before I went to bed, and good timing for this question. So, look, sports come into it. Where that grit and that delayed gratification, it's like I did not enjoy running up Woodgie Street. Like I did not. It's like when you know when it's coming to. Like pre-seen it, you rock up day one, you know you're about to have a chuck on the spew on the ground. It's like you just know it's coming. So it's like having delayed gratification is a gift that you get from sports, and that's why a lot of people that do well in sport can transition well in business if they have good guidance and know what they're doing. So that definitely helps. And Stephen just taught it really well in his book, and it was along the lines of like, the best way to, another way of saying what he says is the fastest way to change your life is to change your environment. Get around where it's different. So if you're comfortable, by sort of definition of being comfortable, you're in an environment that you're used to. And if you want your life to get better, you need to get better. You need to change your beliefs, your actions, your skill set, your resources. Something needs to change. So therefore, you need to get in an environment which is not the same in the current environment. And obviously, you want to get into a better environment with people who have more skills, more awareness, more consciousness, more resources. And you're just going to feel it's like going from a warm to a cold bath. It's like you're gonna have that sort of transition where it doesn't feel that nice. So the grit definitely helped. The delayed gratification helped. Knowing when you know so clearly your purpose, when you know who you are, you know where you're going, and you got that intrinsic drive, it's just like cliched. Like things just don't fuck with you. Like I remember my first video talking about content. My first video, which would have been over 10 years ago, it was I was still at PBC at the time. You like the story. So I was at PBC. I was also at PLC. So I started the sort of gym chapter. And my mentor was like, "When are you going to post your first video?" I was like, "Oh fuck, gotta post a video." Oh my god! I walked down Burleigh Esplanade with my nephew and my mum, and I said, "Hey mum, I got to shoot down to the beach for a little bit." Shot down to where Burleigh, you know how there's like trees up, not at main Burleigh, like in between main Burleigh and North Burleigh. There's like those trees and like sort of section up near there. I sat down like under the tree trying to look like a creep, and I pulled my phone up, and it took me like 30 to 40 minutes to film this, and it went for I think 17 seconds, and it was on the lines of, "Hey guys, it's a beautiful day today," and I pulled the camera around. Get outside and don't waste your life inside, or something like that. Put the phone down. I posted it. I turned my phone off for 24 hours. I didn't want to see it. And don't get me wrong, the boys, I remember Jetty Cartwright was in there because I'd repeated year 12. So I got all my mates from last year and I got all the boys from this year. Rock up the next day. "How's your goals going, bro? Mr. Motivation is here." So I got like kind of thrown in the extreme version of that because I was still at high school at the time. So, and the footy boys know how to give it to you, right? So they know how to heckle. So that was I think I've been doing it for a while. It definitely sucks at the start. Like it took me 30 minutes to film a 17-second video. Now when I do my content, I batch record my reels. I do 7 reels in about 45 minutes, and they're about sort of minute to 2 minutes each. And I can just articulate really sharply and do it and post it, and couldn't give a fuck like what people say. From there to now, it takes a while. A lot of reps help out. Get around the right people. You'll never meet someone who's more successful than you giving you shit, unless it's constructive, like, "Hey, maybe consider this." So, yeah, it takes a while, man, but it's
that's cool. Took heaps of things out of that. First time, before I forget it, I did a workshop the other day at Kibra, and I talked about content, and very similar process. Like when I first posted my bit of content for league leaders, I was literally sitting there, and I was like, if a kid at school sees this, they're going to give me shit. Like, who am I? I'm a 29-year-old worrying about like a 15-year-old's going to think of me. And I was like, "Jackson, what the fuck are you doing? Press post." And then eventually I saw it, and all of them, I don't know if they're being nice to me, but no one's ever said anything bad. They're all like, "Oh, I like your content." Like one even said the other day, like, "So I learn more through your page than I do at school."
Yeah.
And like it's Casey Lyons was on the other week, and he sort of said a good thing. He's like, "No one fucking cares."
Yeah.
He's like, and the other flip, he said, "Everyone cares, and more people care than you think." And just if anyone's thinking about posting some content, post it today. Do the hard thing. The other thing I took out of that one was you talk about the change of environment, and I'm really sort of going through this at the moment, and I love my friends, and my friends are great.
The boys.
Yeah, the boys. They've always been the boys, like the day ones, but you sort of get to that stage, and I really want to develop myself, and I still love them. We have similarities, but I don't think they listen to it anyway. So, shout out if they are. And you just want to grow, and you get some that stay with you. Like feel particular to just come to events. I went to Morgan Nelson. I had one who came to there, and I got one who I'm doing my fitness with, and
Love it,
got
man.
a few who come with you. And it's
That's
just
good, man.
I'm sort of at that stage where I think Isaac John do one. He's like, this is you, like in your circle, blah blah. And then like you got this next one here where you're trying to get to. And you're in that little in-between bit where you're not sure. Like some days I'm like, fuck, am I doing the right thing? Like, what am I doing? And you're trying to get to that next circle and there's new people to hang out with. And that's one of the reasons I started the podcast and getting to speak to people like you. And you reference Keegan a few times and he's on my goals list. So Keegan, if you're listening,
I'll send him a message. I'll get
jump
on.
on.
Yeah, we'll jump on.
But yeah, and like having like Sharma tomorrow, like that was when I did my first list of guests who I want to have on, like he was on there and just... You message him and I was like freaking out and like you don't want to press send and he replies he's like I love what you're doing and like keen to come on and it's very interesting as you try to change an environment. You think it's very scary, you're not sure what to do, and slowly but surely you sort of get there, and the people that you're sort of very afraid to reach out to, like even you, like 300,000 on Instagram. I'm like, fuck, what if he doesn't reply? He doesn't even know who I am. He won't remember me. And I guess you're going back to those limiting beliefs and things like jump in.
Oh, I was just to reflect back to you when I saw your ads pop up, I was like, fuck yeah. Like that was I'm like, because like with all respect to the lads from my grade, and you were a couple. How old are you?
I'm 30 this year.
Yeah, so you're 3 years on me, and I know you from school and PPC and Burley Bears and stuff. But mate, I've got besides Keegs and Keenan, like I don't know what anyone's doing, and with all respect, they're probably doing. Some of them probably have beautiful lives. They love what they're doing. I don't see any success is not like there's material, but there's the internal part as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Like I don't see anyone who's going for it, who's like chasing dreams, trying to do good things. And again, I'm not trying to say just being a good person is not a good thing.
Yeah.
But I don't see anyone from my grade. Keegan is an exception, and when I saw it, I'm like, fuck yeah! I was like celebrating you, man.
His podcast is elite. The episode he did the other day with Brendan Smith. Share that clip, and the other one with Aaron Booth. Like they're just so touching there. They're awesome.
That's cool.
You gonna keep anyone else? You say that?
Nah, it was just the way it was funny because perception is reality. Like you and a quote that might help with some people is someone's perception of you as a projection of them. So if you see, I saw your ad pop up, and first reaction. True authentic reaction. I was like, fuck yeah, Jackson's doing something. I'm like, this is awesome. And then I had to scope what you're doing. Then like we were talking before we click record, like I saw the angle you're going after, how athletes can then do that. I'm like, that's awesome. He's having a crack. How cool's that? But like an insecure Lewis, like me, whatever, before I started my journey, I'm like, what a wanker. Like who the fuck do he think he is? He's not gonna, whatever. And like, but that both of those perceptions is a projection of who I am. So if you get like hurt people, loving people, love people, and all that stuff. So I just wanted to celebrate you, man. I love what you're doing.
I appreciate that. Obviously, we've got another podcast, so we'll wrap it up. I have a bit of a question. I've changed it. I usually ask people what they tell them younger selves, and I listened to My First Million. If a fan listen to that, anyway, he refers to a question. He's like, "What would you put on a billboard to share with the world?"
Maybe a bit of a line I said in this. It's like, follow your inspiration. It's going to lead you to your purpose or something along the lines of that. Just genuinely like do what you love. Like find what you love, figure out how to contribute that, give that back to others, find a way to get paid to do it and monetize it, and just be who the fuck you are.
Love that.
Finish that.
Where can people find you?
Lewis Huckstep across the board, Instagram, Facebook. If you actually want to talk to me, Instagram's your best shot. And yeah, connect. I got some free shit for you, so come check it out.
Thank you again. Appreciate your time and, mate, doing awesome things. So you keep it up.
Thank you, man.
Thank you.